Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Kristovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Kristovich.
Good evening, I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scene. Seated at our table tonight, Kim Vaz DeVille, my friend, but also professor and associate dean at Xavier, Louisiana's University, of course, the wonderful College of Arts and Sciences. She's going to be talking about her new book about the baby doll walking groups. Welcome. Hello, dear.
Thank you.
Hi. Poppy Tooker, host of the radio program Louisiana Eats, airing twice weekly on WWNO. Hello, Miss Poppy.
Hi,
She's
Peg.
back. Hi. Making his Steppin Out debut, Brandon Lewis, trumpeter for the Preservation Hall Jazz Band and the Brandon Lewis Quintet. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Peggy.
Good to see you. And Steppin Out theater critic, he's back, Alan Smason of theatercriticism.com. First up, though, Poppy.
Well, you know, I've had this theme all summer of staycations through food. And I can tell you where the best staycation is for the next few weeks, and that's at Station 6. Now, that's Chef Allison Vega Knoll and her husband Drew Knoll's place, right out there on Old Hammond Highway. And, you know, they spent several years after Vega Tapas living and cooking in Antigua. And so they decided to do this weeks-long thing, raising money for World Central Kitchen, which was founded by Chef Jose Andres. And that's the organization that has served over 3.4 million meals in Puerto Rico from 25 kitchens with the help of over 19,000 volunteers. Very good work, deserves this funding. So this weekend, you can begin your Caribbean tour in Cuba, and you can toast the birthplace of the mojito and use that to toss down some chili and lime grilled whole fish. Then July 24th through the 29th, the Jamaican flag will be flying over Station 6, and they'll be serving dark and stormy cocktails with jerk pork, with tamarind glaze, and ducana. The next stop on the trip is Haiti. Don't you wish we were on the boat? From July 31st to August 6th, listen to this, cremas made with cream coconut, condensed milk, and rum. They're also serving a marinade de lambi, which are conch fritters. You never can get that in New Orleans. And griot, which is fried pork and Haitian slaw and plantains. Puerto Rico's next, August 7th through the 12th, with, of course, pina coladas. And sancocho, a stewed fish with yucca and plantains in coconut broth. And the final stop is the place where it all began for the Knowles, Antigua, from August the 14th through the 19th. Old-fashioned rum punch with curry goat roti and pepper pot. I mean, really unusual dishes. Really take a staycation and go to Station 6. And Peggy, I know you're just waiting for culinary, and it's not time yet. However,
The good deals. The
it's
good
a
restaurant
August.
deals.
It's an August restaurant deal, but it's not time yet. But it is time for Ralph's on the Park annual summertime special, where it's 3 plates for $33. You can pick any 3 small plates from 17 to choose from. There's delicious.
It is a deal. That is a deal.
Yes,
Let
it
me tell
is.
you.
3 plates and a glass of wine. And so there's crab meat Daniel salad. There's shrimp scully, which is tempura shrimp with a crystal pepper jelly sauce. Yum. Truffle fries, turtle soup, crab and avocado toast. There's tuna tartare, there's a tomato tart. And of course, all of this you can wash down with the glass of wine that comes with the deal. $33. Go to Ralph's. It's so lovely. And then another place that I have just become obsessed with. I love the Paloma Cafe. Now, this is the restaurant that's on the corner of Louisa and Dauphine in the Bywater. It originally was Booty's Street Food. I know you remember that.
Yes, of
And then
course.
for a little while, it was Cafe Henri. Well, now it's a spot with Revelator coffee, a Caribbean-inspired menu, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And oh my goodness, oh look at that avocado toast with cumin roasted chickpeas on multi-grain bread. They had breakfast tacos. They had their breakfast is just, look how fresh and beautiful. And at dinner and at lunch, they have salt cod fritters, yuca, plantains, ceviche. They have a dish with mussels, octopus. That's the thing that killed me. That's churros with spiced hot chocolate for dipping. And I'll tell you what I do. I order the churros just as an appetizer right off the bat. And I get a great big iced coffee. And then I take what's left of the spiced hot chocolate and I pour it into the iced coffee and mix it up. I keep telling them, why don't you put that spiced hot chocolate on as a shot? It would be a great shot, and it is a great shot in my iced coffee in the morning.
Spicy mocha.
It's so yummy. So really go try Paloma Cafe. It's delightful.
All right. Thank you so much. So excited. Miss Kim, you are becoming the baby doll expert. That is for sure. You already have a book about the baby dolls, and we're talking about the walking clubs, the group of ladies walking clubs that really go back almost over a century, but have been revived in the more recent past. But a new book, Walkin' Ratty, The Baby Dolls of New Orleans. Now, you were the editor, and of course you wrote for it too, but lots of articles about the baby dolls and wonderful images, which we'll be showing. So you felt there was more to talk about with this one.
Well, you know, after you write a book, then you think that you can begin to write the real book because you've learned so much. But I always wanted to invite other scholars into the dialogue about baby dolling. If you would look into the dictionary, you wouldn't find ratty anywhere in the dictionary. But yet it was a word that was used to mean a kind of strut and a kind of dance, an alluring dance. And so I invited scholars to theorize about what does it mean for black women to walk down the street looking any way that they've decided that they want to on Mardi Gras Day. And so we took that theme and we cover lots of history, lots of social issues, but we also have memoir. Rob Florence wrote a beautiful piece about his relationship with Antoinette Cato. Xavier alum had relatives who remembered, and the grandmother had been a baby doll, and she did interviews with her family. So they're very beautiful memoir pieces. And we've also had an art exhibit, and lots of artists created special work in 2015 about the baby dolls. And I invited them to reproduce their work in this book and to put their artist statements in. And the very last image that was shown by Gabrielle is a college student right now. And so some of our students are inspired by this tradition at Xavier, and they create art about it.
Now, one thing I always feel like, especially if somebody's hearing about baby dolls for the first time, a long time ago, baby dolls were initially, some of them were ladies of the evening in the Storyville area.
Yes.
Okay. And they would walk around dressed as baby dolls, and gentlemen would, what they would hope, let's say, that gentlemen would put dollars in their stocking.
In their garters.
In their garters, exactly. Okay. Well, that is no longer, when we're talking about baby
That's
dolls,
right.
These are very intelligent, sharp women's groups.
Times have changed.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. With a nod to the playfulness of that.
Absolutely. And the baby dolls and the Mardi Gras Indians and the Zulu walking and parading tradition, they all started in the same neighborhood as friends, and they have all changed in many ways, the way that they are on Mardi Gras Day. But the idea of being able to be in a small group and come out and have fun is such a New Orleans tradition. People think about Mardi Gras as being on Canal Street, but it's not. It's in our neighborhoods, it's in our families, it's eating your big breakfast before you go out and getting your costume together. And so these women and men get together in small little groups and they still parade, not necessarily in parades on Mardi Gras Day, but in their neighborhoods to entertain their friends and walk ratty.
So in neighborhoods, we're talking primarily Treme, 7th Ward, or
Uptown,
all over? Uptown too?
All over, yes. And there's a new thing that's developing that lots of Mardi Gras or Black masking Indians want baby dolls attached to them to add to the color, to add to the fun. And so now you have even more proliferation of baby dolls. They're being born all the time, I like to say, because they're growing so much.
And you've got a special event.
Special event this Sunday at Xavier University from 2 to 5. It's a book launch and a fundraiser in honor of One Book, One New Orleans. And there will be music by Margie Perez and Arsène Delay, food and fun, and art. From the artists who are represented in the book.
And it's very reasonably priced?
Well, it's free.
There you go.
Yes.
So if you want to make a donation, you can.
Yes, but you can also buy the art.
Yes.
And so some of the art that just appeared on the screen, like the art of Merritt Harding, she did 2 portraits, one of Eva Perry Adams and one of Merlene Kimball. Those portraits are available. Just so many beautiful pieces of work will be available. And so July is a great time to do your holiday shopping. So come out and join us.
Well, thanks to you, I have to say, though, you know, about 20, 25 years ago, this was still sort of an underground thing.
Yes.
And you've made it more to the forefront and something that has really expanded, because that tradition almost died off.
It really did, and all of our black masking traditions almost died off.
Yeah.
And so they slowly revived. And I think after Hurricane Katrina, there was this real notion that something vital could be lost if it weren't saved. And so people are more, times have changed, and so people don't frown on African Americans depicting themselves in different ways that in the 60s, they weren't necessarily welcome to mask in that way. It wasn't seen as progressive, but we've changed.
When you almost lose it, you savor it,
That's right.
You realize what you might lose.
That's
Thank you
right.
so much, Kim. And New Orleans Magazine's quiz queen, Julia Street, has a question for us. Last time, James Dougherty gave us the names of 2 New Orleans restaurants, Poppy, you love this, that have 2-word names with the first word being possessive of the second word.
Oh.
The answers are?
Pascal's Manali.
And
Rose Chris.
Oh, with a book coming this fall. Pascal's
Miss
Manali.
Poppy by the Popster. Okay. All right, now tonight, a longtime famous music club and legendary snowball stand are both located on Chapatula Street. What are they? Email your answers to steppinout@wyes.org. Our prizes: a year's subscription to Louisiana Life magazine, and a T-shirt with the message "Love is Bacon" from our friends at WearableVegetables.com. A pair of free admission passes to either the Audubon Zoo, Aquarium of the Americas, or Butterfly Garden and Insectarium. And by the way, you can go to WYES.org for our online calendar to see our lineup of events, including Cocktails Across America this Saturday at the Southern Food and Beverage Museum. You can also link to our WYES YouTube channel to see our program. And now, Brandon. Before we go and visit with Brandon, though, we want to show you in action here. Here's an excerpt of Brandon Lewis performing, with his trumpet, of course, the song Santiago with, of course, the band, Preservation Hall Jazz Band. Take a look. you're wondering if there's been an expansion of Preservation Hall, that was actually taped in One-Eye Jacks, because it looks very big, doesn't it? But anyway, let's talk Preservation Hall, and also your other band too. You've got a brand new EP, as they say,
Yes.
extended play CD. Congratulations! We're going to hear some of it at the end of our program. But tonight, it's making its debut
Yes.
at a midnight concert.
Yes,
Doors
from
open at
midnight
11:30
soiree.
at the hall.
Yes, at Preservation Hall. Doors at 11:30. We're going to get rolling around midnight and have a very special performance of some original arrangements. And we're going to be bringing out a special guest, Charlie Gabriel, to do some of his original material that's never been heard before.
Now, you're very traditional on this. Are you playing some of the songs from the CD? I love. We're going to hear "I'm in the Mood for Love," Panta's Serenade. So you've
Yeah,
got
we're
some
going to
oldie
play
but
the whole
goodies,
CD,
too.
and then
Okay,
we've
good.
got 3 additional tunes that we're going to play of Charlie Gabriel's.
All right, and this is available now
It's
tonight.
available
today?
now on Spotify and iTunes and all the major distributors online.
All right. Oh, great. Now, you have some New Orleans roots, but you were born in L.A., is that
Yes.
right? Okay.
My grandfather came out, he moved to California in 1962, I believe, and then actually came back out here to record an album with a band called Little Millette and the Creoles.
Oh, what
that-
is his name? What's his name?
My grandfather's name is James Victor Lewis. He was a tenor saxophone player.
All right.
And recorded this album with a band called Little Millette and the Creoles, and it was re-recorded by Alison Krauss.
Oh, who was here last week? Okay.
Yeah, and she ended up winning a Grammy for this song that my grandfather recorded. They covered it, and and my grandfather got a Grammy. He was like 77 years old.
That's great. I love it.
So that's been a cool story. And so the whole time I've been here in New Orleans, nobody has heard of Lil Millette and the Creoles until I met Ben Jaffe, and I'm asking him, has he ever heard of this band? He's like, have I? Not only have I heard of them, but I had to learn that song to play it at the Grammys. They were the guest band with Alison
Of course,
Krauss.
he plays the tuba.
Yes.
If folks didn't realize that. But so you have been with Preservation Hall how
About
long?
2 years now.
2 years. You're the youngest member of the band.
Yes.
Okay, but you've also got a quintet, and so that's who we'll hear tonight.
Yes.
At the Preservation Hall. Okay, wonderful. Now you're going to be busy in the next few months because you're touring with the hall, including Newport. That's
Yes, we're doing a triple bill with Trombone Shorty and his band Orleans Avenue.
Next weekend.
And then also with Galactic. And we're going out for about 2 months. We're doing an Eastern tour and then also a Western tour of the United States, and that's gonna be amazing. To have 3 bands like that from New Orleans to go just and spread the love that we have here, all over the country. It's
now
gonna
you
be really
moved
powerful.
you moved to New Orleans in 2012. You've been busy.
I've been
Dr.
very busy.
John playing with a lot of great folks.
As many people as a trumpet player, as a sideman we call it, I can get in a lot of different areas, just how comfortable I am and asserting myself in these different avenues.
And you have a website, which is very nicely done. The web address?
BrandonLewis.com.
Okay.
BRANDEN.
Okay, love that.
Lewis with a W.
All right, and you promised to come back and play with your band.
I would love to. I can't wait.
Okay, thank you. Have a great
you.
summer. And you'll be back in the fall playing at the hall,
Yes,
too.
every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday when we're not on the road.
Sounds great. Thank you, Brandon. And now it's time for our Artist Spotlight. Tonight we are featuring the art of quilter Phyllis Stevens. This is Tied to Blessedness, with work that has been featured in galleries around the world. Stevens is known for her colorful mixed media quilts, and here's Tied to the Road. Our mother showed us. An exhibit of her work titled Tied to Love will be on view at the Stella Jones Gallery. That's on St. Charles Avenue 201, right there in Place St. Charles, till July 31st. Visit the gallery's website for more information. And now, Alan, he is back.
Yeah, I just returned from a week of mostly outdoor theater in an amphitheater that seated almost 1,100 people in Spring Green, Wisconsin for the American Players Theater, and really wonderful theater out there. But right before I left, though, I was notified of the passing of one of our area's most really promising and gifted directors, and that was Carl Walker. He died very young, only in his early 60s. But Walker, in all kinds of theater, that was his company, presented many shows at the Contemporary Arts Center, at Le Chatouar, and other venues around town. And perhaps his most noted works were the Native Tongues productions that he did, a series of plays of local writers that were made into a series of monologues by actors. Again, he was a really demanding and sometimes difficult director, but he knew his craft better than most anybody, and one of the top directors living in New Orleans. Orleans.
I remember Doubt, Where the Girls Are. I mean,
Absolutely.
the list is long. And by the way, thanks to Channel 4 for that photo.
Yeah, and he will
boy,
definitely
is he
be missed. I'm so sorry. Meanwhile, though, on a happier note, Rivertown Theaters for the Performing Arts opened their summer show last week. And a reminder, it's at 7:30, not at 8 o'clock like all the other shows. And it's selling out performances, of course, of Disney's Beauty and the Beast. Now, it's one of the best I've seen locally. Of course, one caveat, it does not have a live orchestra, the one thing that I think would really draw back from this one production. But other than that, one of the best I've seen. While I still recall with great pleasure, you know, the original cast that I saw on Broadway with Susan Egan and Terrence Mann, and perhaps some of those previous JPAS versions with Micah DeSaulnier, I have to admit Emily Heck as Belle is near perfect. Jason Kyle Dowies, who we remember from Fun Home, he's also very good as the selfish prince, the beast, if you will, who's transformed into that hideous beast, and he really nails that part down very well, especially Act One's closing song, If I Can't Love Her. John Denny as the egocentric Gaston is fine, although I would have liked him to have a little bit more brass in his voice, a little bit more power behind him, but he really does play the oversized oaf very well. And then again, a wonderful gift that I have to say for the theater was for them to bring back Ed Cox. He's Belle's father, Maurice. He plays the role magnificently, a role which, of course, Tom Bosley originated on Broadway, and I got to see that, too. The chorus work by the ensemble of players really shows great direction by Gary Rucker. And Rucker's seen here in the role of Lumiere, a role that I saw originated by the late Gary Beach, who also passed away this week. Again, he was Roger Debris and the producers, you remember. Many, many wonderful, wonderful people, connections to New Orleans. Brian Batt, Leslie Castay, and Ed Cox all had wonderful memories to talk about of Gary Beach. Anyway, Disney's Beauty and the Beast will be playing, unfortunately, just for one more week. So again, the Sunday matinee will run through the 22nd. Again, the Rivertown Theaters of Performing Arts, but really top-notch job. Now, there's a line often misquoted that really reads, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. Not heavy lies the head that wears the crown. But in the New Orleans Shakespeare Theater's latest production of Macbeth, we find really much to be pleased in the way that that crown is worn. The head that wears that crown is worn by John Neisler. He's an eminent actor who returns to perform work that he hasn't done with Shakespeare in about 2 years. But really that's because he's been doing stellar work in films and other productions. He's really among the best that New Orleans has to offer. In this production of the Scottish play, the heaviness with which he plays the role sometimes interferes with the poetry of the lines, if you understand what I mean about the iambic pentameter. But Neisler is believable as a despot. He justifies his bloody actions as a means of self-preservation at first, and then, of course, his own blind hubris leads him into this dark, twisted path of his own destruction. Sometimes that rhyming scheme does lose its pattern, but for the most part, it's all intact, and again, only slightly diminishes what otherwise is a powerful interpretation. Now, as for Lady Macbeth, Melissa Cook is just absolutely nothing short of superb. Yeah. Perhaps it's because she's a great director in her own right. She knows really how to play the role. But, you know, her cunning guile as the tempting wife and the one who has this thirst for power that knows no bounds. She plays it so wonderful. She ultimately, of course, destroys both herself and the man that she loves. But Melisande Cook, really worthy of seeing. And sadly, she's going to be leaving Tulane as a member of the adjunct faculty. So if you get a chance, please go see this. It only has one more weekend as well. Sam Malone, also exceptional. His role as Banquo, Macbeth's friend at the outset of the play. And of course, we also have Kiri Armstead, James Bartell, Brendan Bowen, and Tony Medlin. Sean Patterson also do great supporting roles. Beverly Trask, Celeste Kahn, and Cammie West all do the witches parts that is so integral to the script. And I want to give a little shout out for the first time to Finian Patterson. That's of course Sean Patterson and Cammie West's son, and he has a role as Macduff's son, one of the two sons. He's really cute. It's directed by Jessica Podwell, and the work is presented, in a sparse set on several levels, designed by John Long. And again, great shout out also to Martin Sachs for his excellent lighting. Yeah. That's Macbeth. Really now, meanwhile, BB Stage Door Canteen is having a long season, and it's too long for us to announce today, but we're going to announce the rest of it next week. But for right now, I just want to talk about a little bit what's going on in the summer. They're going to continue the Best of Sinatra with Spencer Rocca from now on all the way into November. They've extended the run of that. Then Sunday Swings through August the 26th. Dine and Dance with their Victory Swing Orchestra. That's from now until the 22nd, I think, of the month. And then Stage Door Idol. I was the judge this past week. They have 2 more weeks of pre-judging, if you will, and then the finals will be on August the 14th. Meanwhile, Le Petit Theater announced their upcoming season last week as well. They're going to be starting off with Satchmo at the Waldorf, which is an extraordinary one-man play. It's 3 characters. Again, that's starting off in October. Then we have the Christmas Carol that's going to be in around the Christmas time. Then the winner of the 2014 Tony Award for Best Musical, thanks to the efforts of Maxwell Williams, A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, which is the musical of Kind Hearts and Coronets that you may remember. Wonderful play and wonderful musical. Again, won 10, I think it won 4 Tonys, 10 nominations. This is really going to be extraordinary. And in conjunction with the Tennessee Williams New Orleans Literary Festival, Kim, you'll remember Baby Doll is going to be here, so that'll be wonderful. And then they're going to have finally a piece called The Pianist of Williston Lane. It's a very powerful play about the Holocaust, and we'll explain about that later.
All right, thank you, Alan. Now time for our picks. Kim.
Yes, One Book, One New Orleans has an event coming up based on their 2018 book, New Orleans, A Food Biography by Elizabeth Williams. It's on sustainability and seafood, and they're going to talk about, at Octavia Books at 6, Thursday, the impact of the erosion of the coast on our seafood.
Okay, thank you.
Only one thing you can do this weekend. Take a ride on the Carousel Bar while mingling with the international cocktail crowd at Tales of the Cocktail.
Okay.
Don't miss it.
Brandon.
This summer at Preservation Hall, we're going to do an artist spotlight series throughout the summer. So there's going to be a bunch of stuff that's going to be rolling out for the next couple
just
months.
go to their website then. Thank you.
A shout out also to Summer Lyric at Tulane for their excellent production that we just ran of Ragtime. They're going to have Newsies coming up. But the perfect summer musical might be Hair. They're having it at the Cutting Edge Theater on the North Shore on Robert Boulevard in Slidell. You might want to check that out as well.
The Cutting Edge.
Well, the Cutting Edge Salon. Where else are you going to have Hair?
my picks. There will be another spoof of the Running of the Bulls, but this time in Waveland, Mississippi, and that's tomorrow. The race will begin at the Waveland Civic Center on Coleman Avenue. You can register either the day of or online at hancockchamber.org. The race benefits the Hurricane Katrina Ground Zero Museum there. Looking ahead, Heart Sleeve Clothings will have a screen printing workshop next Tuesday and Wednesday. That's located at the Mid-City Art Studios on Toulouse Street. There are only a few spots available, so register at myheartsleeve.com/workshop or click on the shop. And there'll be a dinner and a show celebrating the Roosevelt Hotel's 125th anniversary at the hotel's historic Blue Room next Friday, and lots of great musical guests, including Joe Piscopo, Renee Olstead, as well as Dave Damiani and the No Vacancy Orchestra. Visit RooseveltNewOrleans.com to make your reservation. And now we leave you with a song by Brandon and his group, I'm in the Mood for Love. Thank you all so very much, and thanks for watching. Good night.
I'm in the mood for love, simply because you're near me. Funny, but when you're near me, that I'm in the mood for love.